there, Internet! This is a response video to Rincey Reads' response video to an NPR article that came out last week regarding what students are reading in high school. Confused? Let me back up and start at the beginning. In an article that was posted on June 11th, 2013, NPR makes 2 points about what students are currently reading in high school. First, it says high school students are reading books written for younger kids, and teachers aren't assigning as many classics as they used to. According to Accelerated Reader, students seem to plateau around middle school. Accelerated Reader is a system/company that determines a book's grade level based on the vocabulary used and the complexity of the sentence structure. Therefore, The Hunger Games is a 5th grade book, meant for 9 or 10-year-olds. It takes no consideration for content of a story, which is huge. I mean, there's a reason that The Hunger Games is a rated PG-13 movie, and by a lot of people's standards, the movie was actually pretty tame compared to the content of what was actually going on in the novel. So, keep that in mind. Plus, there's claim number 2, that except for Shakespeare, most classics have been abandoned in classrooms in favor of more accessible books, a movement that started in the 1960s to encourage more people to read. As both a certified English teacher and someone with my master's degree in library and information science, this is so very, very false in my experience. The literary canon is not set in stone. It's always changing and always making room for new titles and new ideas. Sure, Shakespeare is still around, but there are plenty of other titles that students in classes in my school have been reading, and it would take way too long for me to name them all. Just trust me when I say that Shakespeare is not the only classic literature being read anymore. Also, it's only fairly recently, within the last few decades, that people have been writing and marketing books specifically to teenagers. So of course they read more classics in the past. What other options did they have? All of this brings me to Rincey's, and subsequently my, response to this article. She and I both agree that it is hard enough to get people to read today. Very true, especially in this technology-saturated world we live in. It seems almost old-fashioned to pick up a book and read it. It's something that takes an extended period of time. It especially doesn't help when some people look down on genres, like the woman in the article who seemed less than impressed that people of my generation seem to prefer fantasy and science fiction over other genres just because we grew up with Harry Potter. So what if we prefer fantasy? Harry Potter got an entire generation to read, and they're about so much more than just the initial magic element that drew us in the first place. It's the same way that dystopian stories will probably affect the tastes of current teens in their future reading endeavors. However, when it comes to the point of what's being read in English classes in schools today, it's actually a much more complicated question than a lot of people realize. Like many things in the United States school system, it's hardly a simple task. For one, teachers have to meet learning standards. When I was a student teacher, this meant the Illinois State Standards for Reading and Language Arts. For today's classroom teachers, that means Common Core, with English and Language Arts standards for reading, writing, speaking and listening, and language. Plus, there's the class curriculum itself, some of which is determined by laws, others by districts, schools, departments, committees. A lot of people are involved in these decisions. People at a variety of levels are constantly evaluating and changing what needs to be happening in our classrooms. There's different curriculum for different grade levels, and within grade levels there can be multiple curricula paths. Some for honors, some for average, some for students that need additional support. Then from there, teachers might get to select which books they actually teach. It depends on what decisions have already been made, and also a lot on the budget. Who's going to pay for a bunch of new books versus what books does this school already have available? For example, when I taught Frankenstein, A Doll's House, and Night. Why? Because that's what all sophomore English teachers had to teach. As a librarian, I do get to be a little bit more idealistic in terms of what I select for a YA collection in terms of content and variety, because those books are meant primarily for recreational reading. However, during the school year, I'm working with students at a wide variety of levels, from English language learners to special education to English classes, freshmen through seniors. Some of them are reading books that came out centuries ago, some of them are reading books that just came out last year. In the end, we all want high schoolers to read, preferably at grade level and of subjects that they find interesting. However, when it comes to what exactly they're reading in their English classes, there are so many variables involved, and it's not so black and white as contemporary titles versus classics. It's a lot more complicated than that. But that's why I'm a teacher and a librarian. I want to help figure it out. I hope I didn't bore too many of you. Comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching, and that's it for me for now. Take care. Bye!